A military mishap just off the coast.
You kind of got to think that could be someone's family member out there. And
tonight, we share the story of a safe rescue out in the Atlantic.
We dragged tuna in there, but today we dragged people.
The Coast Guard jumped into action, and a fisherman just happened to be in the right place at the right time.
Didn't catch any fish, though. If we caught humans instead, which was much better.
Tonight, we have the rescue stories of how fishermen and the Coast Guard plucked 4 naval aviators from the Atlantic Ocean. The Navy says there was an in-flight mishap between 2 Super Hornets 25 miles off the coast of Cape Hatteras this morning. You're looking at new video of the Coast Guard pulling the survivors to safety. The airmen ejected, but were split up. The Coast Guard found 2 on an inflatable boat miles away. A fisherman pulled the other pair onto his boat. About 2 hours later, all 4 men were back on dry ground, getting checked out at a hospital in Norfolk. Only on 10, we spoke with the fisherman who rescued 2 of the airmen. 10 on your side's Liz Kilmer was there when he docked his boat in Virginia Beach. Liz.
And Anita, that fisherman, Rob Shoetrump, says he isn't a hero. Rather, he feels it was an honor to help those 2 aviators and a matter of being in the right place at the right time. He and his buddies set sail from Florida over the weekend, heading towards Virginia Beach. As they passed through Cape Hatteras, they saw smoldering debris ahead in the water.
There was something that looked like a wing or a tail that was burning. And that's kind of what clued us into where they were before the helicopter got there.
Fresh off a fishing trip, Rob Shoetrump and his 2 buddies sailed through Cape Hatteras, coming across a shocking scene in the Atlantic.
And Richard, who was running the boat, saw some weird activity, like planes flying around and smoke on the water. And then we realized there'd been a plane crash. So we went to the area.
Navigating closer in Pammy, the 3 came across 2 aircrew members stranded on a raft. 2 others were spotted further south in the distance.
They were happy to see us, needless to say, because they'd been in the water for a while.
Shoetrump of Richmond helped the 2 aviators aboard through the tuna door.
That's where a door is. So we flipped that back and we opened it. And we let them come in there.
Seeing the men were doing okay was a huge relief.
And they were a little bit nervous and upset, obviously, but there was no major injuries. So, we just tried to keep them warm until the military got back to them, which they eventually did.
A Coast Guard motor lifeboat came to Pammy for the men. They were hoisted into a helicopter. As they were flown to the hospital, Shoetrump and his crew steered off, ultimately reaching the end of their journey at Fisherman's Wharf Marina in Virginia Beach. He says he'll never forget the rescue, but he doesn't want any praise.
No, anybody would have done the same thing. It's what you do. So I hope they're all okay, and that's all that matters.
And there's another part to this rescue story, and that's the role the Coast Guard played. My colleague Liz Palka is on the other side of the newsroom, and Liz, they really orchestrated this rescue.
And that is what they're trained to do. In fact, the Coast Guard trained with the Navy just yesterday for situations like this. Now we're learning what today was like from their angle in both personal accounts and video just released.
for the most part, I'd say it's a fairly seamless operation.
One that ended with the best case scenario. All 4 naval aviators survived the crash into the Atlantic, 2 even walking themselves into the hospital later on.
Certainly, I would imagine, would be a very traumatic experience, and all things considered, I think they were doing pretty well.
An HC-130J Hercules and 2 MH-60T Jayhawks responded from Air Station Elizabeth City. The airplane arrived before the 2 helos and spotted the FA-18 debris field in the water.
Probably just a couple of minutes after we spotted the debris field, we were able to spot 2 of the pilots in rafts. We were able to mark their position with a flare.
Lieutenant Todd Story said they saw the other 2 aviators pop smoke to alert them of their location. They were 2 to 3 miles away.
The fishing vessel was already close to them, and we just vectored them in while their smoke was still going.
The C-130 took on the on-scene commander role as the Jayhawk crews began their rescues. Lieutenant Ryan Webb said it makes no difference whether they were helping civilians or fellow military members.
No matter who it is, you kind of got to think that could be someone's family member out there.
and they can't help but think of those families during rescues like this.
You definitely feel for it. I have friends who are pilots up in the Norfolk area.
Which is why they're glad they could be there to help.
I could definitely hope everything works out well. Unfortunately, it did today.
All in all, there were about 20 Coast Guard members in the air for today's rescue, plus others who were on the water and back on land. I'm Liz Pelka, 10 on your side.
Tonight, there's no timeline on when or if the Navy will recover the FA-18s. We're told it's up to the investigation board if they need the jets as evidence or if it's even possible to get them out of the Atlantic Ocean. The jets were part of the Fighting Checkmates based at Oceana. It's the same squadron that had an FA-18 crash in the Persian Gulf last year. Each jet cost $60 million, which means $120 million of your tax dollars is now at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. Now, we're actively investigating what went wrong off the coast this morning. You can find our coverage from throughout the day and see video of the naval aviators walking into the hospital right now on wavy.com.